2 days before Christmas, I woke up before the sun. Not because I had to, because I planned this dinner for weeks. I bought everything fresh, cleaned the house, set the table with the good plates I barely used. By 4 in the afternoon, the whole place smelled like rosemary and roasted chicken. I stood in the doorway, hands folded, waiting for the knock. The knock finally came. When I opened the door, Isabella walked right past me without a glance. She headed straight into Connor's arms. He lifted her up like a returning hero. She said, "We made it! Traffic was insane!" Connor laughed. "Worth it. Your parents will be happy to see you." I stood there, still holding the door. I opened my mouth to say something, but then Edward and Lillian appeared behind them, both dressed like they'd just stepped out of a holiday catalog. Lillian looked around my living room like someone inspecting a motel room she didn't book. She turned to Edward. "Still, very simple." He nodded. At least she tried. My fingers tightened on the door handle, but I kept my voice even. "Dinner's warm. Come in." They walked in without waiting for me. Isabella dropped her designer bag on my couch and said, "Did you turn the heat up? It feels dry." I answered, "It's winter." She waved her hand. "Yeah, but you know, it's just a little much." I forced a small smile. "I'll adjust it." I stepped into the kitchen to check the food, though it didn't need checking. I needed one moment to breathe. When I came back, Isabella was pouring wine for everyone except me. Lillian shrugged out of her coat, handed it to me without looking. She said, "Hang this somewhere away from food smells." I held the coat, heavy and warm, and walked it to the hallway. When I came back, they were all seated at the table I set so carefully. Isabella was taking selfies with Lillian, both smiling bright like this house wasn't mine at all. I stood near the counter. "Everything's ready. Can I serve now?" Isabella didn't look up. "Yeah, go ahead." "Not Mom, not even please. Just go ahead." I placed the dishes one by one, quiet, steady. The food I cooked all morning was met with polite nods that felt more like obligations. Connor tried a bite and said, "It's nice. You didn't over-season for once." Lillian tapped the table with one fingernail. "I prefer restaurant food, but home efforts are charming." I sat down slowly, letting their words register without reacting. But it wasn't until Isabella reached under the table and pulled out a stack of perfectly wrapped envelopes that the air shifted. She stood up. "Okay, everyone, before we eat, I want to give out something special." Edward grinned. "Our girl is always thoughtful." She handed him an envelope. "Spa weekend for you and Lillian." Lillian gasped. "Oh, sweetheart, you shouldn't have." She handed Connor one. "A $200 watch voucher. You deserve it." Connor placed a hand over his heart. "This is amazing!" She handed another to Edward's brother and his wife. "Grocery gift cards. I know you love cooking." Everyone laughed. Everyone reached for their envelopes. I waited. My hands were close to each other in my lap, calm, patient. I didn't want anything extravagant. I just wanted to be seen. Lillian leaned in and whispered to Isabella, "I think you missed someone." Isabella widened her eyes. "Oh my God, right, one more." Relief warmed my chest. She remembered. Maybe she saved mine for last. She bent down, reached into her bag, and pulled up Milo, her fluffy white dog. She kissed the dog's head and tucked a tiny envelope under his sweater. "There you go, Milo. You're such a good boy." Everyone laughed. My smile froze midair. My hand, which I had lifted instinctively, hung there, pointless. I asked quietly, "Isabella, where's mine?" She looked at me like I had interrupted something important. "Mom, come on, don't make this weird. You're home all day. You don't need gift cards or airline vouchers. You're comfortable." I felt the hit cleanly. No confusion, no hesitation. Edward cleared his throat. "She's being practical." Connor added, "Yeah, don't take it personally." I steadied my voice. "I'm not taking anything personally. I'm just asking." Isabella sighed like the conversation exhausted her. "I said what I said. Let's not ruin the night." Connor reached for another slice of chicken. Yeah, let's just eat. I didn't move. The humiliation was public, sharp, and cold, just the way they preferred it. Every year, Isabella grew further away. Every year, I let her. Tonight, she confirmed what she thought I was. The background. I forced myself to focus. No shaking, no tears. I asked one more thing, calm and deliberate. You're all traveling tomorrow, right? You mentioned something earlier. Isabella brightened up instantly. Right! We're flying to the Maldives for Christmas. A full week, beach, spa, everything. Connor raised his glass. Family trip of the year. I kept my voice level. And the dogs? Isabella shrugged. Milo, Coco, Benny, they love you. You'll stay here with them. I stared at her. That's my Christmas? She didn't flinch. Mom, please, don't be dramatic. Someone has to watch them. You're the logical choice. Logical? Lillian dabbed her lips with a napkin. It's only 7 days. Edward chimed in. You always say you prefer quiet holidays. Connor added, and you don't mind staying home, right? I looked at all of them. My daughter, my son-in-law, the in-laws who treated their approval like currency. Inside, something clicked into place. Not anger, not sadness, something steady and sharp. I spoke slowly. Understood. Isabella nodded. Good. Glad we're clear. I stood up to refill the water pitcher. On the way back, I caught my reflection in the dark window. I didn't look broken. I looked awake. I placed the pitcher on the table without a word. No argument. No plea. I didn't need to. I had already made my decision. The morning after our Christmas dinner felt colder than usual, not because of the weather, because of the silence inside my own house. I walked into the kitchen and saw the 3 dogs lined up by the fridge, waiting for breakfast. Milo scratched the cabinet. Coco spun in circles. Benny paced like a guard on duty. They were happy to see me. At least someone was. I filled their bowls while thinking about the night before. Every word Isabella threw at me, every laugh from the others, every moment I swallowed to keep the peace. The humiliation was clean, sharp. It stayed in my chest like a cold weight. Around 9, my phone buzzed. Isabella's name flashed across the screen. I answered. Good morning. Her voice came fast. Mom, quick thing. We're leaving in a few hours. Make sure Milo gets the dry food first, then the fresh mix. I focused on the window. I know. And Coco gets anxious. She'll need her calming treats twice a day. Benny needs his evening walk. I've taken care of them before. She ignored that. Great. Anyway, flight's at 3. We'll Uber to the airport. No need to come out. I leaned against the counter. Isabella, do you want to sit and talk before you go? There was a pause, then a tight laugh. Mom, we really don't have time. And you're overthinking again. It's just a trip. So you said. Connor's voice floated in from behind her. Ask her about the trash, babe. Isabella added, Right. Trash day is Tuesday. Put the cans out early. Oh, and don't forget to water my orchids. They're sensitive. I looked down at the dogs. Anything else? Another pause. A longer one. Then she asked, You're okay staying, right? I didn't say I was staying. Her tone sharpened. Mom, don't start. You know this is easier. Stop making everything heavy. It's just 7 days. You'll be fine. The dogs love you. I let out a slow breath. Is that why you left them with me? Because they love me? Or because you didn't want me on your vacation? She didn't expect that. The silence that followed told me everything. Connor stepped in, voice calm as if he were explaining weather. Look, it's nothing personal. The Maldives trip is expensive. We only booked enough seats for the group. I asked, The group? Isabella answered, Yes, me, Connor, his parents, and his sister. Everyone handled their own ticket. It's not a big deal. So you never intended to invite me? Another silence. Then Isabella replied quietly, Mom, you don't enjoy crowded places. I almost smiled. I enjoy family. Connor cleared his throat. We assumed you'd prefer staying home. You're happier here. I looked at the clock. If that's your assumption, it's wrong. Isabella exhaled hard. Can we not fight? Please. We're literally packing right now. Just take care of the dogs. That's all we need. That's all you need, I corrected. Not what I need. Her voice dropped. Mom, don't do this. I'm not doing anything. Before she could respond, someone knocked on her end of the call. Edward's voice echoed, cheerful and loud. Isabella, are you ready? The shuttle's here. She covered the phone briefly, then came back. Okay, we need to leave. Just stick to the schedule. Feed them at 6. Walk them after dinner. And don't let Benny near the chocolate box. He'll eat the wrapping. I understand. Good. Thanks, really. She didn't wait for a reply. The call ended. I placed the phone on the counter and stared at the tiled floor. The dogs watched me with tilted heads. They didn't know the weight behind the words. They didn't know their presence was the excuse my daughter needed to remove me from her holiday. Around noon, I saw their SUV pull out of the driveway. I stood by the window. No one waved. No one looked back. They laughed inside the car, talking over each other, excited about their island trip. The sound traveled through the glass and hit me like cold wind. I stayed still until the street went quiet again. Inside the kitchen, the house felt too organized, too prepared for my absence, even though I was the one left behind. I walked to the table and saw a list taped on top. Isabella's handwriting, daily tasks, feed Milo, walk, Benny water, the orchids, check mail, clean kitchen, take trash out. Tuesday, call vet if needed, keep doors locked. Keep doors locked, as if I needed instructions for my own house. I pulled the list off the table and folded it once, then twice, then slid it into the drawer. The dogs circled around me, not sensing the shift in the air. I filled their water bowls and stepped into the living room. Everywhere I looked, I saw small signs of Isabella's presence. Her scarf on the chair, her jacket on the couch, her perfume lingering in the hallway. It felt less like a home and more like a reminder of a truth I had ignored for too long. She didn't respect me. She didn't even see me. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text. Don't forget Coco's sweater if you take her outside. And don't let Benny out off leash. Please be responsible. Please be responsible. 3 words that erased years of cooking, cleaning, babysitting, rushing to help, driving her to practice, staying up at night when she was sick, attending every school event alone because her father never cared enough to show up. Responsible. I typed back one line. I won't be home either. The typing bubble on her end popped up instantly. What does that mean? I responded. You'll see. Before she could reply, I powered off my phone. The sudden silence felt clean, clear, almost warm. The dogs lay down near the door. I grabbed my purse, my ID, and the small folder of documents I kept hidden for emergencies. Then I looked around the living room one more time. Isabella thought she controlled this house. She thought leaving me behind was easy. She thought I would stay quiet, predictable, obedient. But humiliation has a strange effect on a woman my age. It wakes her up. I walked out the front door and locked it behind me. No list, no dogs, no explanations, no guilt, just freedom beginning to breathe. I didn't wake up angry the next morning. I woke up clear, the kind of clear that only comes after someone shows you your true place at their table. I walked into the kitchen, fed the dogs, cleaned the counters, and then looked around the house like it belonged to a stranger. My phone vibrated nonstop inside my purse. I didn't bother checking. I grabbed a coat, tied my hair back, and walked out the door without hesitation. Outside, the cold air hit my face. It felt cleaner than anything inside that house. A cab slowed in front of me. The driver leaned toward the open window. You need a ride? Yes. I slid into the back seat. He glanced up at me through the mirror. Where to? I looked out of the window at the rows of Christmas lights. Families moving, laughing, carrying shopping bags. Everyone preparing for joy. Everyone except me, apparently. Downtown, I answered. The car moved, and the distance between me and that house grew with every block. My phone vibrated again. I pulled it out and saw Isabella's name filling the screen. Calls, messages, all stacked on top of each other. "Mom, where are you? Mom, answer me. Stop being dramatic. We're leaving soon. Pick up." I placed the phone screen down on my lap. The driver looked up again. "You good back there?" I'm done pretending I'm not. He nodded slowly. Sometimes that's all it takes. When we reached the shopping district, I paid and stepped out. I walked straight into a luggage store. The clerk came toward me immediately. "Looking for something specific?" "A suitcase, hard shell, lightweight." He set one in front of me. "This one's good for long trips." "Long trips. Perfect. I'll take it." He tried to make small talk. I didn't answer. I left with the suitcase and headed to a nearby cafe. I sat outside, even though the air bit my skin. The waitress came over. "Coffee?" "Yes, black." While she walked away, I pulled out the photo I kept in my wallet. Isabella, at 6 years old, holding my hand like it was the only anchor she had. Back then, she adored me. Back then, I mattered. Now I was the woman she left behind with 3 dogs and a list. The coffee arrived. "You all right?" the waitress asked. "I'm finally getting there." She gave me a sympathetic look and walked back in. I picked up my phone. More messages. "Mom, you better be home. The dogs need you. Don't make this a problem. Why are you not answering? This is getting embarrassing. Where are you?" Embarrassing. That word sat heavy in my chest. She was embarrassed. Not because of what she'd done, but because for once I wasn't playing along. I typed one short message. "I'm not home." She responded instantly. What does that mean I didn't reply? Instead, I stood, grabbed my suitcase, and walked to the bus stop. The cold wind hit my face. It felt like a reminder that I wasn't dead inside, just frozen for too long. A bus approached. I boarded and took a seat near the window. My phone rang again. Isabella. I let it ring until it stopped. Then it rang again, and again. Finally, I answered. Her voice exploded. "Mom? What is going on? Connor says you're not home. Are you outside? Why are you doing this?" I kept my voice level. "I'm leaving." "Leaving where? You need to go back. We are leaving for the airport. The dogs need dinner at 6. Did you forget the schedule already?" "No." "Then why aren't you home?" "Because I don't want to be there." She let out a sharp breath. "Mom, stop. Don't start. You're making this a big deal for no reason." I looked out of the bus window at the city rolling by. "You're right. There is no reason. Not anymore." She raised her voice a little. "Can you stop talking like that? You're being weird. Just go home." "No." "What do you mean no? You don't get to say no." My jaw tightened. "Isabella, I stayed quiet for years. You just never heard how loud that silence was." She stuttered. "Mom, this is insane. You're leaving me with the dogs? They're yours. You agreed to watch them." "No, you told me to." She fell silent. The bus pulled into the central station. I stood up. She started again, voice trembling with frustration. "Mom, listen. We're leaving in 40 minutes. Please go home. Please, don't ruin this trip." "I didn't ruin anything." "Then what is this?" "This," I answered, stepping off the bus, "is me walking out of the role you gave me." She sounded desperate now. "You're doing this just to hurt me." "No, I'm doing this because I'm done being invisible." People walked around me at the station, some carrying luggage, some hugging goodbye, all of them moving forward. I dragged my suitcase toward the airport shuttle sign. Isabella's voice cracked as she asked, "Where are you going?" I paused for 1 second. "Somewhere you didn't book a ticket for." She gasped loudly. "You can't be serious. Mom, don't you dare get on a flight. You don't even travel alone." I stepped onto the shuttle. "You never gave me the chance." The doors closed. Her voice spilled through the phone one last time. "Mom, come home. Right now. I'm not joking." "I know you're not." "Then come back." "No." "Why?" I took one breath. One final, clean breath. Because I won't spend another Christmas being the only person in the family who knows how to love. I ended the call. The shuttle pulled out of the station. City lights slid past the window. My phone buzzed again, but I didn't look at it. For the first time in years, nobody controlled my next move. Not Isabella, not Connor, not the in-laws. Just me. And I wasn't going back. The airport shuttle hummed under my feet as it curved toward the terminal. I kept my phone face down. I didn't want to see Isabella's name again. Not yet. Not until I could hear a voice that actually steadied me. I reached into my purse, pulled out my old flip phone, the one only 2 people had the number to. One of them was my mother. I pressed her contact. She answered before the second ring. "Helena?" Her voice always carried a weight that made me straighten my spine. It wasn't fear. It was respect. "I'm on my way to the airport," I told her. "Good." No surprise, no questions, just approval. "Where are you flying?" "Maldives." She let out a soft breath. "About time you went where the sun is." I shifted the suitcase handle beside me. "They left me with the dogs, Mom. The entire family flew out this morning. They didn't even try to hide it." "I know." "You know? You sound exactly like I did the day your brother left me at the hospital alone for his anniversary dinner." Her tone stayed calm. "Some children grow out of gratitude the same way they grow out of shoes. Too small for them, too inconvenient." I swallowed the sting in my chest. "I don't want to hate her." "You don't hate her," my mother replied. "You hate the part of her you allowed for too long." The shuttle bumped over a speed hump. I tightened my grip on the suitcase. "I kept thinking if I stayed patient," I said quietly, "she would treat me better." "That's the trap," Harriet murmured. "Patience becomes a cage when the wrong people benefit from it." I didn't answer. My throat felt tight. She continued, "Did Isabella ask what you wanted for Christmas?" "No." "Did she ask if you were lonely?" "No." "Did she ask if you were okay after last year's hospital scare?" I closed my eyes. "No." "Then why," she asked, voice sharper, "would you let a child define your worth when she never bothered to learn it?" A silence hung between us, not heavy, just true. Then she cleared her throat. "You booked the flight already?" "Yes." "Good." Another small pause. "Did she try to stop you?" She called and called and called. I exhaled slowly. "She said the dogs needed dinner at 6. My mother let out a low chuckle. "The dogs have more structure than your relationship with her." I felt a small, unexpected smile tug at my lips. "Apparently." "Helena," she continued, voice lowering, "you listened to me carefully. You didn't walk away out of spite. You walked away because your silence was becoming a service, and you don't serve anyone." I left the house with nothing but a suitcase. That's all a woman your age needs: clothes, passport, and a mind that finally stopped apologizing. She paused, then added, "You're not running. You're reclaiming." The airport came into view through the shuttle window. Bright lights, terminal doors, people rushing with suitcases, a place full of choices. I whispered, "I'm scared." "No," she corrected gently. "You're unfamiliar with freedom. That's different." My chest tightened again, but this time from something softer. "I don't want her to hate me," I murmured. "Children don't hate mothers who step back," Harriet said. "They fear losing the convenience." I looked down at the passport in my lap. She told me not to ruin her trip. "That trip was ruined the moment she used you as a kennel," Harriet replied. "Let her learn the cost of disrespect." A short silence passed, then she cleared her throat again. "Check your email." I opened my bag and took out my second phone, the newer one. A notification blinked at the top. Bank transfer received. $30,000. Sender. Harriet Monroe. Message. For freedom, not revenge. My heart jolted. "Mom, you didn't need to—" "I know what I needed to do," she interrupted. I needed to make sure you wouldn't turn around because you were afraid of money. You go. You enjoy. You breathe." My voice broke slightly. "Thank you." "Don't thank me," Harriet replied. "I'm not rewarding you. I'm reminding you." "Of what?" Her answer was soft but firm. "You forget your worth when you stay too quiet." The shuttle came to a stop. Travelers stood and began pulling down their bags. I stayed seated for a moment, absorbing her words. "Mom?" I whispered. "Yes." "Will you be all right alone?" She huffed. "Please. I've survived 9 decades, 2 husbands, 3 wars, 1 food poisoning from your aunt's potato salad, and a hip replacement. I will be just fine." I laughed under my breath. "Okay. Call me before you board." "I will." "And Helena," she added, her voice steady and warm in a way that wrapped around me like a blanket. "Don't come home early. Let them sit in the silence they created." My grip tightened on the phone. "I will." "I love you," she said simply. "I love you too." I ended the call and rose from my seat. The shuttle doors opened, letting in a gust of cool air mixed with jet fuel and airport chatter. I stepped out, suitcase rolling behind me. For the first time in a long time, my footsteps didn't feel hesitant. They felt chosen. I walked toward the terminal doors with a phone full of missed calls, a heart finally steady, and a mother's voice echoing in my mind. "You forget your worth when you stay too quiet." Not anymore. The airport doors slid open, and a wave of warm air wrapped around me. People rushed past with luggage, families met with hugs, couples argued over boarding passes. All of it felt distant, like I was watching through glass. My world had narrowed to one clean decision. I walked toward the ticket counter. A young agent stood behind the desk, adjusting her name tag. Her smile lifted when she noticed the suitcase in my hand. "Good afternoon. Flying somewhere special?" "Yes," I answered. "I need a ticket to the Maldives." Her eyebrows lifted in surprise. "For today?" "For the next available flight." She tapped the keyboard. "Let me check. It's the holiday rush, but we may have a few single seats." Single. That word carried more meaning than it should have. I nodded. "1 seat is perfect." While she typed, my phone buzzed again. I turned it face down. I didn't need more reminders of who I used to be 10 hours ago. The agent's eyes lit up. "We do have 1 seat, window, direct flight, leaves in 2 hours." "Book it." She hesitated. "It's expensive. Holiday pricing." "I'm aware." She entered the payment screen. "Passport?" I slid it over. As she typed, a small line of light reflected off the glass, hitting my wrist. The watch Isabella bought me last Christmas, the one she handed me without looking up from her phone. I unbuckled it and placed it beside the counter. I didn't need it anymore. The agent smiled softly. "All set? Checking luggage?" "No, I'm keeping it with me." She handed me the boarding pass. "Enjoy your trip." "I will." I walked away from the counter with steady steps. Every part of me felt lighter, even the suitcase. Near a seating area, I stopped to catch my breath, not from exhaustion, from clarity. My phone buzzed again. I turned it upright this time. 23 missed calls, 15 messages. Isabella. "Mom, are you insane? We're boarding." "Where are you?" "Connor says we should call the police." "Pick up, right now." "Mom, if you don't answer, I swear I'm coming back home." "Answer the phone. Do not walk away from us." "Mom, this is childish. Why are you doing this? Are you trying to embarrass me?" Embarrass her. Not once did she wonder if I felt embarrassed when she used me like unpaid help, or when she announced her Maldives trip like it was a prize I didn't qualify for, or when she handed out gifts to everyone but me. I looked at the screen without anger, only truth. Then I pressed call. Isabella picked up instantly. "Mom, where are you? This is not funny." "I'm at the airport." "Good. Then go home. We'll handle the dogs later." "I'm not at our airport." A beat of silence. "What does that mean?" "I bought a ticket." Her voice rose. "For what?" "For my Christmas." "You're not serious." "I am." I heard rustling on her end, Voices overlapping, someone shushing someone else. Then Isabella's voice again, sharper. "Mom, you can't fly alone. You get anxious. Remember last time? That was 20 years ago. You still get confused in crowds." "I'm not confused now." She let out a frustrated groan. "Mom, stop. We are literally boarding. You need to go home, right now." "No." "Why are you doing this? Why today of all days?" I lowered my voice. "Because today I finally realized I don't owe anyone the version of me that makes their life easier." She fell silent. People walked around me, wheeling bags, holding passports, hugging children. I didn't move. Finally, Isabella muttered, "What about the dogs?" "They have food and water. They need a routine." "So do I." A long breath escaped her. "Mom, please, come back. You don't travel like this. You don't act like this. You don't know how I act, Isabella. You only know how I stay quiet." She tried again, voice shaking between anger and disbelief. "If you leave, it's on you. I'm telling you right now. Don't come crying to me." "I haven't cried to you in years." She whispered something under her breath, then spoke louder. "You're being dramatic." "No," I answered calmly. "I'm being done." Before she could respond, I hung up. Not out of spite, out of peace. I sat near gate 22 and opened my mother's message again. For freedom, not revenge. I closed my eyes for a moment, letting the airport noise fade into a soft hum. A child giggled behind me. A suitcase rolled across the floor. A boarding announcement echoed overhead. I opened my eyes. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't lost. I wasn't second-guessing myself. I was choosing myself for the first time in decades. A text popped up. "Isabella, Mom, I swear if you're really doing this, don't bother coming home. We'll talk later. Just stay where you are until we land." I typed back, "Enjoy your trip." 3 words, clean, sharp, final. Her typing bubble appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. I powered off my phone. The gate agent announced pre-boarding. I stood, adjusted my coat, and rolled my suitcase forward. A young woman in line smiled at me. "Traveling alone for the holidays?" "Yes." "Good for you." "Good for me," I repeated softly. I took my boarding pass, walked through the jet bridge, and stepped onto the plane. The cabin lights glowed warm, like a welcome. As I settled into my seat by the window, the truth came gently, without pain. They didn't leave me behind. They freed me. The moment the plane touched the runway in the Maldives, something inside me softened. Not healed, not yet, but softened, the way ice begins to crack when light finally hits it. I stepped out of the airport into warm air that smelled like salt and sun. A resort driver held a sign with my name. "Welcome, Ms. Ward. Long journey?" "A necessary one." He smiled gently. "You'll like it here. It's peaceful." Peace. A word that used to feel unreachable. The van drove down a long road lined with palm trees. The farther we went, the lighter my chest felt. No barking dogs, no rushing, no lists taped to tables, no children looking at me like I was an old piece of furniture. Just ocean, and sky, and silence I chose. The driver helped me onto a boat headed for the resort island. As the boat cut through the water, the sun hit the surface in gold streaks. It looked like the world was trying to hand me something new. I let myself breathe it in. A crew member approached. "First time in the Maldives?" "Yes." "You arrived on a good day. Calm sea." I could use some calm. He nodded as if he understood more than I told him. "You'll find it." When the boat docked, a hotel attendant helped me off. The sand felt warm even through my sandals. The sky hung clear above me, wide and open. She guided me along a wooden path toward the villas. "Traveling alone?" she asked softly. "Yes." Her smile was kind. "People who travel alone usually carry stories. The ocean helps set them down." "I hope so." She opened the door to my villa. Light flooded the space. A soft bed, white curtains, a balcony facing the sea, a room built for quiet. "If you need anything, dial 0. Enjoy your stay, Ms. Ward. When the door closed, the silence wrapped around me again. But it wasn't the cold kind from my house. This silence didn't judge me, didn't expect anything, didn't reduce me to a dog sitter or an inconvenience. This silence let me exist. I walked to the balcony and slid the door open. The sound of waves washed over me. I stepped outside, letting the wind lift my hair slightly. The horizon stretched endlessly, as if inviting me to start over. I whispered into the breeze, "I made it." The words came out steadier than I expected. I spent the next hour unpacking, showering, and drinking a cold glass of water on the balcony. Every minute felt like peeling away another layer of exhaustion I didn't know I carried. As the sun dipped lower, I walked to the beach. The sand was cool beneath my feet. People strolled by, families, couples, groups of friends, but none of them looked at me the way my own family did. No pity, no annoyance, no expectation, just passing faces letting me belong without asking anything in return. I sat near the shoreline. A staff member approached holding a tray with 2 drinks. "Complimentary welcome juice. You can take both if you'd like." I laughed softly. "One is fine." He placed it beside me. "If you need anything, I'll be nearby." When he walked away, I drew my knees up and hugged them loosely, watching small waves roll in and out. My phone stayed off in my bag. The world could wait. A woman walked by with her daughter. The girl giggled as she tried to outrun the surf. The mother scooped her up with a laugh. For a second, something inside me pinched. Not pain, just memory. I whispered to myself, "It used to feel like that." I didn't cry. I didn't break. I just let the truth settle. After a few minutes, a staff member approached again. "Would you like a photo? The sunset is very beautiful tonight." "No, thank you." "Are you sure?" He gestured to the glowing sky. Sometimes a picture reminds us of moments we didn't expect. I glanced at the horizon. "I don't need a picture. I'm finally in the moment." He smiled. "Enjoy, ma'am." The sun lowered slowly, painting the water orange. I breathed in the warm air and let the quiet seep into me. For the first time in years, the silence didn't feel like punishment. It felt like peace. I stretched my legs, leaned back on my hands, and said softly into the wind, "Silence used to hurt me." The ocean breathed with me. Now it feels like freedom. I stayed there until the sky darkened. The resort lights flickered on behind me. Couples headed to dinner, children headed to bed, and I remained where I was, alone but not lonely. When I finally walked back to my villa, I passed a mirror near the entrance. I paused. The woman looking back wasn't the one who fed dogs and stayed quiet. She wasn't the woman who waited for her daughter to remember she existed. She was someone I hadn't seen in a long time, someone alive. Inside my room, I placed my phone on the table and stared at it. My fingers hovered over the power button. For a moment, I considered turning it on. Then I pulled my hand back. Not today. Not while the air still felt warm and the ocean still breathed for me. I changed into a light robe and sat on the balcony again. The sky was dark now, stars scattered above the water. The waves moved slow, steady, patient. A soft smile formed on my face. I finally feel like myself again. And I meant every word. The next morning, sunlight spilled across the ocean like someone had poured gold straight onto the water. I stepped onto the balcony with a cup of tea the resort staff had delivered. No barking, no slamming doors, no daughter barking orders like I was her housemaid. Just peace. Then the room phone rang. Not my cell. The room phone. A resort staff member's voice came through. "Ms. Ward, you have a call from the United States. Do you want to take it?" I froze. Only 3 people would ever bother calling me on a landline. My daughter, my son-in-law, or someone trying to fix the mess they just caused. "Put it through." There was a click. Then my daughter's voice exploded into the room. "Mom! Wow, where are you? Why aren't you home? The dogs destroyed the sofa and the neighbors reported barking for hours. We came back to an empty house. Where the hell did you go?" I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even move. "I took a vacation." "A what?" Her breath hitched. You left? Alone? Correct. You can't just abandon your responsibilities like that. My responsibilities? I leaned on the balcony rail. Those 2 dogs are not mine. That vacation wasn't mine, and that humiliation you gave me before you left, definitely not my responsibility. There was a full 5 seconds of stunned silence. Then she gasped, "We trusted you." "No," I corrected softly. "You used me." Her anger sharpened. "You're unbelievable. You didn't even tell us where you went." "That's right." "Mom, this is childish." "And yet here I am," I replied calmly, "drinking tea by the water while you run around dealing with your own mess." My daughter inhaled sharply like she'd been slapped through the phone. "Are you serious right now? Do you have any idea how stressful this is for us?" A cold smile touched my lips. "Stressful? For you?" Her voice cracked with frustration. "You don't get it. We came home expecting to find your unpaid dog sitter waiting at the door," I finished for her. "Ready to clean, cook, and keep quiet while you post family vacation photos without me in them?" She didn't speak. She couldn't. I continued. "You left me on Christmas to watch 2 animals while you went to a luxury resort. And you told me, word for word, you're the only one without plans anyway." Her breath wavered. "Mom, that was a joke. It wasn't funny." A beat of silence. Then her tone shifted. Polite. Calculated. "Okay, Mom. Listen, can you just come home? We need to talk. Please?" There it was. The switch. The manipulation. "No," she choked. "No? What do you mean, no?" "I mean," I replied slowly, "I am not returning early. I am not flying back. I am not cleaning up your dog's mess. And I am not sitting in that house waiting for you to remember I'm part of your family." "Mom, stop! You're being dramatic." "For once in my life," I answered quietly, "I'm being honest." Her voice shot up an octave. "We're your children. And I'm your mother, not your employee." The silence afterward felt heavy enough to sink a ship. Then a second voice burst through the line, deeper, irritated. "My son-in-law." "Helena, what exactly do you think you're doing?" he snapped. "We counted on you. You can't just run off. The dogs ruined the couch and I had to pay for emergency cleaning. Do you know how irresponsible this is?" Interesting. Not a single question about my well-being. "Connor," I answered coldly, "your household issues are not my problem." "We trusted you." "You never trusted me," I countered. "You relied on me. That's very different. You left the house unattended. The house belongs to you, and you adults left it unattended for a week." He clicked his tongue, frustrated. "Your behavior is unacceptable." "Compared to what?" My tone sharpened. "Being excluded from a family trip I helped fund? Being treated like the live-in help? Being the only person left behind with no seat at the table?" "Harriet, no, let me make this clear." I straightened. "I did not disappear. I relocated." "To where?" "The Maldives." The phone exploded. "The what? Mom, are you insane?" Connor shouted behind her. "She took our emergency fund to travel, didn't she? I told you giving her access was a mistake." I cut them off. "Calm down. I didn't use a cent of your money." "Then how? My finances are none of your concern." They both spoke over each other, shouting, panicking, scrambling. Exactly the opposite of how they treated me. I waited until they quieted down. "My flight lasts 7 days," I informed them calmly. "I won't be answering calls. Handle your dogs, handle your house, handle yourselves." My daughter's voice cracked into desperation. "Mom, please come home. We need you." "No," I repeated. "You don't need me. You need someone to pick up after you. There's a difference." Then my tone dropped. Cool, clean, final. "I am taking back my life, starting now." "Mom!" I hung up. The sound was soft, but the impact was seismic. I turned toward the ocean. A wave rolled in slowly, as if the sea itself nodded in approval. For the first time in years, walking away didn't hurt. It felt right. When my plane landed back home, the sky was a flat gray, the kind of winter color that makes everything look honest. I rolled my suitcase down the familiar sidewalk, but this time, the silence didn't hurt. It felt earned. My home sat at the end of the street like it always did, except something was different. The curtains were parted, the porch light was on, and two voices floated out from inside, my daughter's and my son-in-law's. When I stepped onto the porch, I heard her speaking like she owned the place. Mom probably left mail piled up again. She never keeps things organized. We'll take care of it. My hand tightened around the key. So they let themselves in. Interesting. I unlocked the door. It swung open with a low creak. Both of them froze in the middle of my living room, surrounded by my things, my books, my pictures, my furniture, and stacks of mail they had sorted into piles without asking. My daughter turned first. "Mom, you're back earlier than you said." Her tone was soft, but the stiffness in her shoulders betrayed her real emotion. She wasn't relieved. She was caught. Connor stepped in front of her as if he had authority here. "Harriet, we needed to check the place. The dogs had an accident, and we thought maybe something happened to you." "You have my number," I replied evenly. "Yeah, well," he muttered, "you turned it off." "Correct," he tried again. "We let ourselves in because we were worried." My gaze drifted to the open drawers, the mail spread on the table. The coat closet door swung wide. "You weren't worried," I answered quietly. "You were looking." Their faces stiffened. My daughter swallowed hard. "Mom, that's not fair." "Oh, it's accurate," I corrected. "You were checking bank letters, bills, anything that proved where I went and what I spent." She stepped closer. "We need to understand what happened." "Why?" I asked. "So you can control it?" Her lips parted, but no words came out. I walked past them with slow steps, picking up a stack of envelopes they had opened. Federal documents, insurance notices, tax receipts. I held them up. "Who gave you permission to open these?" Connor lifted his chin. "We're family. We have the right to know what's going on. You disappeared." "I went on vacation," I replied, "not into hiding." My daughter's eyes flared. "You left us with everything, the dogs, the house, the mess." "You left me first," I interrupted. "On Christmas." "That wasn't—" "You left me," I repeated, slower this time, letting the words land like weight. "You took the whole family on a vacation and left me to dog-sit like a housekeeper, and you didn't feel even one drop of guilt." Connor shifted his weight, annoyed. "Honestly, Harriet, you're blowing this out of proportion. It was a simple trip." "A simple trip?" I raised a brow. "You stood in my kitchen and told me, you're the only one without plans anyway." My daughter squeezed her eyes shut. "Mom, we didn't know it would hurt you like that." "No," I replied. "You didn't care if it did." Silence. A long, heavy silence that filled the entire room. Then my daughter tried a different tone, gentle, trembling, rehearsed. "Mom, we just want to fix things. Can we sit and talk?" Connor cleared his throat beside her. "Yeah, let's be reasonable. We can work this out." I studied them for a moment. Two adults who were perfectly fine humiliating me, perfectly fine leaving me behind, perfectly fine expecting me to serve them, until I stopped. Then it hit me like a clean, clear truth. They weren't here because they loved me. They were here because they needed me. I placed the envelopes on the table. "Sit," I instructed. They obeyed instantly. My daughter perched on the edge of the sofa. Connor stayed standing, hands in his pockets, waiting for leverage. I remained where I was, framed by the doorway, grounded and steady. "You want to understand what happened," I began. "Fine. Here it is." Both of them tensed. "You removed me from the family trip because I was available. You left me alone on Christmas because you assumed I had nowhere else to be. And when I went on vacation, on my own money, with my own choice, you panicked. Because you were never worried about me. You were worried about losing control." My daughter's eyes widened, shiny with emotion. "That's not—" "Don't try to edit the story," I cut in. "I lived it." Connor exhaled sharply. We didn't try to control anything, we just needed help. You offered. No, I answered. I tolerated. He opened his mouth again, but I didn't let him finish. I spent 1 week away. 1 week, and the two of you unraveled the moment I stopped being convenient. You searched my house. You went through my drawers. You opened my private mail. I stepped closer. Tell me, do you treat each other like this? My daughter's throat bobbed. Mom, please. Answer. Her voice broke. No. Then why treat me that way? She didn't answer. She couldn't. Connor stepped forward with a stiff jaw. All right, we get it. You're upset. Now what? You want an apology? What I want, I replied calmly, is distance. Their faces changed instantly. Alarm, confusion, disbelief. What? My daughter whispered. You will not enter this house without my permission. You will not open my mail. You will not use my home as a storage unit or a safety net. Not anymore. Connor scoffed. You can't be serious. I am. My daughter's voice cracked. Mom, don't do this. You already did it, I replied softly. You just didn't expect consequences. She shook her head slowly, tears collecting. We made a mistake. We messed up. But we're still family. I stepped back toward the door. Family treats you like a person, I told her, not a tool. The room swallowed their reaction. The weight of my words spread through every corner. I reached for the handle. You're welcome to call, I added, when you're ready to speak without entitlement. Connor scoffed again. So that's it? You're kicking us out? Yes. My daughter stood, shaken. Mom, wait. No. I opened the door. Get some air. Think about the way you've been living. Come back when you're capable of respect. They hesitated. Then they stepped outside slowly, stunned, like the world had shifted under their feet. I closed the door behind them. The click echoed through the whole house, a house that finally felt like mine again. The morning after I put them out of my house, I woke to the quiet hum of my phone vibrating across the nightstand. Unknown number, local area code. I answered. Mrs. Ward, this is Clerk Reynolds from the Savannah County Court. I'm calling to confirm receipt of a civil complaint filed yesterday evening. You are listed as the defendant. I sat up. What complaint? A pet care negligence suit filed by Isabella Hayes. My breath stilled. She sued me for dog sitting? A brief pause. That is correct. I let my eyes close for a moment. Of course she did. Of course. Thank you, I murmured. Please email the documents. As soon as the call disconnected, I reached for my glasses, pulled my hair back, and opened my laptop. A notification popped up instantly. Case number 48C2217, Hayes v. Ward. I clicked the PDF. There it was in black and white. Claim, emotional distress, property damage, and breach of verbal agreement. Cause, left the dog unattended while traveling internationally. Requested award, $12,400 in damages. My jaw tightened. She wanted money. She wanted punishment. She wanted control. What she got instead was my full attention. A message came through right on cue. Isabella, you forced us into this. Take responsibility. You abandoned Coco. We had no choice. Another message followed before I even finished reading. If you drop the attitude and apologize, maybe we can settle without going to court. The casual arrogance, the confidence, the entitlement. A younger version of me might have folded. This version didn't. I forwarded the entire case file to Marcus. Me. Emergency consult. Now. He called within 30 seconds. Helena, I'm reading this. It's sloppy. It looks rushed. Her husband definitely drafted half of it. Can we fight it? We won't fight it. His tone sharpened. We'll crush it. Good. He exhaled a dry laugh. I knew that was coming. I pushed my chair back from the desk. Tell me what we do next. We subpoena everything. Travel logs, pet care messages, your flight receipts, your medical records if we must. We build a narrative based on facts. No dramatics, no emotion. That's my specialty. Exactly why you'll win. I grabbed a notebook and pen. What do you need from me? every message they sent you about the dogs, and a written statement of how she handled Christmas Day. That's a long section. Summarize the humiliation, he responded plainly. Judges care about timeline and motive. I nodded to myself. I can do that. He continued, voice steady as steel. Helena, this case is a gift. A gift? It proves bias. It proves mistreatment. It proves they'll fabricate anything the moment they lose access to you. And once we expose it, their credibility dies in court. I let that sink in. Then let it die. By noon, I was seated at Harriet's kitchen island with a stack of printed messages spread across the marble. Harriet poured tea and slid the cup toward me. Another mess? They sued me. She lifted one eyebrow. For what? Breathing? Dog-sitting. She blinked once, slowly. You're joking. No. She pulled out a chair. Then sit down. Let's make sure you win. 3 hours later, everything was organized. Every text where Isabella ordered me to care for the dogs. Every message where she declined my help. Every screenshot proving she left town without informing me. Every voicemail where she blamed me for her own choices. By the end, the table looked like a small-scale prosecution display. Harriet tapped a sheet with her nail. This one. The message where she wrote, "You're home all day anyway." That's your center point. It shows exploitation, not an agreement. I glanced at her. You'd make a dangerous attorney. I raised one, she replied dryly. I smiled, only a little. At 6 p.m., a new message arrived from Isabella. Mom, this lawsuit isn't personal. It's just procedure. You can end this by admitting you handled things poorly. Don't drag us through drama. The irony nearly made me laugh. I typed nothing. Instead, I screenshotted the message and dropped it into the evidence folder. 10 minutes later, another. If we go to court and you lose, it will be humiliating. For all of us. Just cooperate. I looked at Harriet. Should I reply? No, she answered. Let her keep talking. Her mouth will build your case. 2 days later, we were in Marcus's office overlooking the river. Papers, exhibits, timestamps, all lined up with surgical precision. Marcus leaned back in his chair. This is airtight. She's accusing you of negligence, but your travel was planned after she dismissed you, and you have the messages to prove it. What about the emotional distress claim? He smirked. Your adult daughter booked a luxury resort trip while demanding a 72-year-old watch 3 dogs alone. If anyone was distressed, it wasn't her. Harriet grunted approvingly. Marcus continued. The judge will see through it. It's a petty retaliation claim, and once the judge labels it frivolous, she'll owe legal fees. I folded my hands calmly. Good. Then he pushed one more document toward me. This is the part you'll enjoy. It was the counterclaim. Harassment, trespassing, unauthorized access to private mail. And this, he added, sliding over the witness list, is the nail in the coffin. I scanned the page. Harriet Monroe. My mother looked at me with calm, unshaken eyes. I watched them search through your home, she reminded me. I heard every word the day they left you for Christmas. I am not afraid to repeat it. A tightness rose in my chest. Not tears, not pain. Strength. Pure, steady strength. Thank you, I whispered. She placed her hand over mine for one brief second. Justice isn't revenge, Helena. It's clarity. The next morning, the sheriff's office delivered notices to Connor and Isabella. Official. Stamped. Undeniable. Within an hour, Isabella called me. Her voice trembled, not with anger, but with fear. Mom, what did you do? I kept my tone level. I matched your energy. You're taking us to court? You filed first. A panicked breath rushed across the receiver. Can't we handle this privately? No. But, Mom, this will destroy us. You destroyed trust, I answered. Court handles the rest. I ended the call. Then I turned off my phone. And for the first time in my life, the silence didn't feel like an empty room. It felt like control. The courthouse lobby smelled like paper and disinfectant. I walked in with Marcus on my right and Harriet on my left. Neither hovered, neither fussed. They simply matched my pace, steady and unbothered. "Stay calm," Marcus murmured without looking at me. "They will try to provoke emotion. Don't give them anything." "I don't plan to." We pushed through the double doors of courtroom 3B. Isabella froze the moment she spotted me. Connor stood beside her, shoulders stiff, jaw shifting from side to side. Her eyes darted from me to the judge's bench, then back again, as if she'd expected me to crumble before stepping inside. I didn't. The bailiff spoke. "Case 48C2217, Hayes versus Ward." We took our seats. Judge Morales entered, a woman in her late 40s with sharp posture and zero patience for theatrics. "Let's begin," she instructed. "Plaintiff, you may present your argument." Isabella rose too fast. Her chair scraped against the floor, earning a quick glare from the judge. "Your Honor," she started, "my mother abandoned my dog, causing emotional distress and—" The judge raised a hand. "State facts, not feelings." Isabella's throat bobbed. "She left the country without notice." Marcus stood. "Permission to respond." "Granted." Marcus stepped forward like he'd been waiting all week. "Your Honor, Exhibit A." He tapped the first printed text message. "This shows the daughter instructing my client to stay home and watch 3 dogs while they traveled for Christmas. Not a request, an order." The judge scanned the page. "Noted." Marcus continued. "Exhibit B." He held up the next sheet. "This message, from the same day, confirms the daughter and son-in-law dismissed Helena from the home before leaving for the airport." The judge looked up. "Mrs. Hayes, did you ask your mother to leave?" Isabella straightened. "We suggested she calm down and—" "Yes or no?" A long pause. "Yes." The judge made a mark on her pad. Connor leaned toward Isabella, whispering something harsh enough to tighten her shoulders. Marcus did not wait. "Exhibit C," he pressed on. A voicemail from the daughter, time-stamped 12 hours before her flight, stating, and I quote, "You're home all day. The dogs need you." The plaintiff left the animals in my client's care. Then she sued my client for following instructions. A low murmur rippled through the back of the courtroom. Judge Morales lifted her gaze. "Mrs. Hayes, is that your voice?" Isabella shifted her weight. "I was upset. I wasn't thinking." "Yet you filed a lawsuit based on this message?" "It's complicated." "No," the judge corrected. "It's simple." Marcus stepped aside just long enough to let her words burn into the record. Then he added the finishing strike. "Your Honor, we request dismissal of all claims and approval of a counterclaim for harassment, trespassing, and attempted coercion." Connor shot up, voice rising. "This is ridiculous! She abandoned the house!" The judge snapped, "Sit down, Mr. Hayes. You do not address the court unless prompted." He sat. Hard. Marcus opened the next folder. "We also have a witness." Harriet stood without hesitation. The judge nodded. "State your name." "Harriet Monroe." "Relation to the defendant?" "Mother." "Proceed." Harriet faced the room. Not dramatic, not emotional, just factual. "I watched them treat my daughter like unpaid labor. I watched them order her to stay home and watch those dogs. I watched them search her home when she wasn't there. And I watched them walk out without a single word of respect." Isabella's face fell inch by inch. "My daughter left because they stripped her dignity," Harriet continued. "Now they want money for their own choices." Silence. Every corner of the courtroom held its breath. The judge cleared her throat. "Thank you, Ms. Monroe." Harriet returned to her seat, posture unshakable. Judge Morales folded her hands. "I've reviewed the filings, exhibits, and testimony presented today." She turned her attention to Isabella. "Mrs. Hayes, your complaint lacks factual grounding. It is retaliatory, it is inconsistent, and it is unsupported by your own written communication." Isabella blinked rapidly, as if the truth arrived faster than her denial could keep up. "Therefore," the judge continued, "the court dismisses your complaint in full." Connor's head snapped toward Isabella. "And regarding the defendant's counterclaim," the judge added, Based on the plaintiff's admissions and witness testimony, the court will allow it to proceed." Isabella gasped. Connor rubbed his forehead like he hadn't expected the blow. Judge Morales concluded, "Next hearing is set for January 11th. Both parties will receive written notices." The gavel hit once. Firm. Final. As soon as we stepped into the hallway, Isabella rushed after me. "Mom, wait, can't we talk about this?" I faced her without flinching. "You took me to court." That was Connor's idea. I didn't know it would go this far." Connor stepped closer. "We can settle this. Just drop the counterclaim and—" "No!" He blinked, stunned. "You're seriously going through with it?" "You involved a judge," I reminded them. "Now a judge finishes it." Isabella's voice cracked. "Mom, please don't do this. We're family. Family doesn't weaponize lawsuits." She grasped my arm, but I eased it away. "I warned you," I told her quietly. "You didn't listen." Her face crumpled, the panic finally surfacing beneath the entitlement. "Mom, please." But I walked past her, calm, steady. Harriet placed a hand on my back as we exited the courthouse. "You did well," she murmured. "No," I answered, stepping into the cold winter air. "I did what was necessary." The morning after the hearing, sunlight filled my kitchen in Savannah. I stirred my tea in silence and checked my phone out of habit. I wasn't expecting anything, but the first notification stopped me mid-breath. A trending post, my photo in the Maldives. Someone had snapped it during sunrise, me standing in the water, sandals in hand, hair pushed back by the wind. The caption read, "She didn't run away, she reclaimed herself." Thousands of likes, hundreds of comments, most from strangers. A soft knock on my door pulled me back. The neighbor's teenager held out my mail and grinned. "Miss Ward, you're going viral." I raised a brow. "Is that so?" He nodded enthusiastically. "My mom showed me your photo at breakfast, said she wants the same energy at her age." I offered a small smile. "Tell her thank you." He ran off, leaving me with the door half open and the cool air drifting inside. My phone vibrated again. Another post, a different angle. Same Maldives trip. Same caption style. "Peace looks good on her." I scrolled. Someone had put the court transcript next to the sunrise photo. The contrast was sharp. My silence in the courtroom versus my peace on the beach. Comments flooded in. She deserved better. That daughter is out of line. Protect this woman at all costs. Finally, someone stood up to entitled adult children. Then another notification appeared. This one sent directly to me. A link. A familiar profile picture, Connor's employer. The headline read, "Internal review announced after employee accused of elder mistreatment." My eyebrows lifted slightly. I didn't need to read further. A minute later, another headline. "Charity board cuts ties with corporate sponsor, following public backlash." Connor's company was tagged. The comments below were unforgiving. Dog-sitting lawsuit? Really? They left their mother at home for Christmas? No dignity at all. My phone buzzed nonstop. Another article popped up. Hayes family under fire after court audio leaks. My voicemail recording, Isabella's voice telling me to stay home with the dogs, played underneath a still image of the courtroom door. A reporter summarized it neatly. Her daughter ordered her to stay home for Christmas, then sued her. The judge dismissed the case within minutes. I exhaled slowly. Not anger, not satisfaction, just clarity. The truth finally had a place to stand without being pushed aside. A FaceTime request came through. "Harriet." I answered. My mother appeared on the screen, glasses low on her nose, expression unreadable. "There it is," she remarked. "What?" "Accountability." She took a sip from her mug. "Took them long enough." I didn't argue. Another vibration, this time a message from an unknown number. "Edward Hayes, we are being harassed because of your beach photos. Please do something about it." A second message followed instantly. "Lillian, our friends are asking questions. This is humiliating. I locked the phone without replying. They wanted silence when it benefited them. Now they wanted protection from the noise. A few hours later, my phone rang again. A number I recognized. Marcus. "Trouble?" I asked. "Not for you." Papers rustled behind him. "Connor was suspended this morning. HR claims it's temporary, but we both know what that means." "And Isabella?" "She won't post publicly. Too risky, but she's messaging anyone who will listen, trying to spin a new story." A pause. "People aren't buying it." Of course they weren't. People saw the pattern. They saw the entitlement. They saw the dog-sitter voicemail. Marcus lowered his voice. "How are you holding up?" "I'm steady." "Good. Because the universe is doing the hard work for you." I hung up with a simple nod. Late afternoon, the light shifted across my living room as I watered the plants on the windowsill. A new message appeared on my lock screen. "Connor, you ruined our reputation. Are you happy now?" I ignored it. 10 minutes later, "We are losing everything because of you." Then, "Fix this. You know the truth." I placed the phone face down on the counter. Another message, then another, then a dozen more. None received an answer. They weren't speaking to me. They were speaking to the version of me that used to fold under pressure. That woman was gone. By evening, the story hit local news. Florida woman left behind for Christmas finds viral support online. A quick clip played, my Maldives footage again, then a screenshot of court documents. The anchor summarized with crisp neutrality. "The public response has been overwhelmingly supportive of Ms. Ward." Supportive. Not curious, not undecided. Supportive. I turned off the TV and let the quiet settle. A text came in from Harriet. "Harriet, sometimes losing people is the gift, sweetheart." I stared at the words for a long moment. She was right. Some losses weren't losses at all. The last notification of the night arrived as I was turning down my bedsheets. A message request. "Isabella, Mom, please tell people to stop sharing the videos. I can't go to work. People stare. My boss called me in today. I'm scared." Then another. "I know we hurt you, but this is too much. Please help us." I didn't type a response. I simply powered off my phone. Harriet had told me once, "Silence isn't punishment. It's protection." Tonight, it protected my peace. 2 weeks after the court ruling, Savannah settled into its slow winter rhythm, the kind of pace that let thoughts breathe. I woke early, made a cup of chamomile, and walked into the spare room I'd turned into a small recording space. The soft panels on the wall, the clean desk, the small microphone, everything felt honest, simple, mine. I opened my laptop and started the final episode of the podcast I had quietly built over the last month. Healing After 60, the title read. Episode 12, Walking into the Light. I pressed record. "My name is Helena Ward," I began, steady and clear. "This is the last chapter of this season. If you're listening, thank you. I used to think healing meant fixing the people who hurt you. It doesn't. It means fixing the parts of yourself you abandoned for them." I paused, letting the silence stretch just long enough to settle. My mother once told me something that changed everything. I want her to share it in her own voice. I tapped my screen. A soft click signaled the audio insert. Then Harriet's voice flowed through the room, low, strong, unmistakably sure. "She didn't lose a daughter," she said. "She found herself." I closed my eyes as her words filled the space. When the clip ended, I spoke again. And she was right. I spent years shrinking myself so my daughter wouldn't feel small. I didn't realize that shrinking only teaches people you don't matter. Standing up isn't rebellion. It's survival. Another pause. Another breath. This is my ending. It's my, or maybe my beginning. Whichever it is, thank you for listening. I pressed stop. The timer froze. The episode was complete. I pushed back from the chair, took a sip of my tea, and looked out the window as the morning light moved through the blinds. For the first time in a very long time, nothing inside me hurt. That afternoon, I walked to the neighborhood library where I'd started volunteering. Mrs. Coleman, the director, waved me over as soon as she spotted me. "You're getting fan mail," she teased, holding up a small stack of envelopes. "Half the town listens to your podcast now." I smiled. "People are kind." "No," she replied gently. "People relate. There's a difference." A woman around my age approached, holding a slip of paper. "Are you Helena?" she asked. "The one with the podcast?" "Yes." She handed me the paper. "That line you said, the one about not shrinking yourself? I wrote it down. I'm leaving my husband next month." Your voice helped me breathe again. I touched her arm. "You're stronger than you think. Don't forget that." Her eyes filled with gratitude before she walked away. Meeting strangers like that never felt heavy, only real. By sunset, I headed home. Warm air drifted through the living room as I opened the windows. My phone buzzed on the counter. A new message from a number I didn't recognize. For a moment, I considered ignoring it, but something urged me to look. Isabella. "Mom, I listened to your podcast." A second message followed immediately. "I didn't know you were hurting that much." Then, "I'm sorry. I don't expect you to reply. I just needed to say it." I stared at the words. My chest didn't tighten. My hands didn't shake. The forgiveness I used to chase didn't push forward. There was only stillness. I didn't type a response. Not out of spite, but because the chapter truly was closed. I turned off the screen. A knock came at the door, slow, soft. Harriet stood on my porch, wrapped in her blue sweater, holding a paper bag. "Brought you dinner," she announced. "You forget to eat when you're working." I stepped aside. "Come in." She placed the food on the table and sat in her usual chair. "You look lighter." "I feel lighter." She nodded once. "Good. A woman your age deserves to live, not manage." We shared a quiet moment before she looked at me again, eyes calm and sharp. "You've done enough, Helena. More than enough." "I know." "Do you miss her?" Harriet asked. It wasn't an accusation, just a question. I considered it honestly. Not the version she became, maybe the little girl she once was, but I don't miss sacrificing myself. A gentle nod. "That's how I knew you were ready. When missing them stopped hurting worse than loving yourself." She reached across the table and placed her hand on mine. "I'm proud of you." My throat tightened, not with tears, but with something steady. "Thank you, Mom." We ate together, the room warm around us. Later that night, after she left, I brewed another cup of chamomile and stood by the window. Savannah's streetlights flickered along the sidewalks. Somewhere in the distance, someone laughed. A dog barked. A car door shut. Everything ordinary. Everything peaceful. My phone lit up again. Another message from Isabella. "Mom, I hope one day we can talk, even if it's short, even if it's just once." I didn't open it. I didn't delete it either. Some doors don't need to be slammed. Some simply stay closed until the person on the other side learns how to knock. I took a slow breath and turned the phone face down. This was my life now. My pace. My freedom. 3 generations of women had fought different battles. Harriet with quiet steel, me with silent justice, and Isabella with the consequences of her own choices. Maybe one day she would walk her own path forward. Maybe she wouldn't. Either way, I was done standing still. I sipped my tea and whispered into the quiet room. I'm finally home. And that was the story of how I finally chose peace over permission. If you've ever carried the weight of being invisible or felt guilty for wanting your own life back, I hope this story reminded you of one thing. You're allowed to walk toward the light, no matter your age, no matter who tries to stop you. Thank you for spending your time with me today. Your presence here means more than you know. If this story touched you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. I always read them, and they remind me that none of us walk this path alone. Take care of yourself. Be gentle with your heart, and I'll see you in the next story on Grandma Life Stories.